Picture this, a snake so big it makes your uncle's fishing story look like a goldfish tale. While filming a National Geographic series, researchers paddled quiet rivers with Waorani guides, and they found an anaconda that made everyone stop and stare. One female measured about 6.3 meters, 20.7 feet, from head to tail. Locals told of even bigger snakes hiding in the swamps. That's the kind of discovery that sounds like a movie, except it's real sticky mud mosquito bite reel. Scientists named this giant the northern green anaconda, Eunectes acaima, and after lab work they found it's not just a big green snake, it's a different species from the anacondas everybody knew before. The new snake's DNA is surprisingly different from its southern cousin, and it split off millions of years ago. This discovery mixes science, indigenous knowledge, TV cameras, and serious worry. The jungle that holds these giants is under threat, so let's paddle in slow and steady and tell the whole story in plain, simple words. Hey, if you love weird nature stories and big jaw-droppers, hit subscribe now and smash that like button. Today's story, a giant new anaconda found on Waorani land in the Ecuadorian Amazon, and yes, it might be the biggest snake on Earth. Before the expedition, the world thought green anacondas were one species spread across big parts of South America. Scientists had samples from many places, but a chunk of the Amazon remote Waorani lands in Ecuador had stories about huge snakes no one had studied up close. The Waorani are indigenous people who know their land like the back of their hand. They invited scientists in, showed them rivers and secret spots, and helped find the snakes. Think of it like a schoolyard. Most kids know the popular kid, the common green anaconda, but a small group whispers about a quieter, bigger kid who lives behind the gym, and only the local kids know where the side door is. The researchers listened to the locals, joined their canoe trips, and found snakes the size of small boats. On the science side, teams from universities, including the University of Queensland and New Mexico Highlands University, had collected blood and tissue samples for years. When they finally compared the Waorani area snakes to others across the Amazon, their DNA tests showed a clear split. This northern group is different enough to be called a new species. That means what people thought was one species was actually at least two separated for nearly 10 million years and differing genetically by about 5.5%. Those numbers matter. 5.5% is a big genetic gap. For comparison, humans and chimps differ by about 2%, so this is serious science, not just a tall tale. The story starts with an invitation. The Waorani people told scientists there are huge snakes in the Bameno region, come see. The researchers joined them. Imagine a small team scientists, Waorani hunters, and a film crew pushing through tangled forest, hopping in narrow canoes and moving slowly through muddy water. The air was thick, the bugs were loud, and the rivers were slow. It's the sort of place a city person only sees in nature documentaries. The Waorani guides moved like they belonged to the river. They knew where big animals rested, where caimans drifted, and where anacondas liked to hide. On a 10-day trip, they saw several anacondas resting in the shallows, lying partly in water, partly in plants. These were not shy snakes, they were large, patient hunters. The team captured and measured some of them carefully. One female was measured at 6.3 m, that's longer than most trucks are wide. People on the team recorded it, touched gently under expert instruction, and collected small tissue samples so labs could do DNA tests later. It's important to say scientists handled these animals with care and followed protocols. This was field science, not snake wrestling for fun. This was not a scientists come in and take photos story. The Waorani took the team into the deep places and shared knowledge passed down for generations. The scientists made sure Waorani leaders were part of the work and even co-authors on the research paper. That matters because it shows respect for local knowledge and helps make the science stronger. The Waorani also warned the team about sacred areas and explained which snakes were important to their culture. These local stories included reports of even bigger snakes' tails of animals over 7.5 meters and weighing hundreds of kilograms, stories that got scientists curious and cautious. Back in the lab, the small tissue samples were compared with samples from other anaconda populations across South America. Researchers used modern genetic tools and evolutionary clocks to see how closely related the snakes were. The result, the northern group, is not just a local variation, it's a distinct species, Eunectes acaima, the northern green anaconda. The split from the southern anaconda goes back about 10 million years, and the DNA difference was around 5.5%, a gap big enough that taxonomists say, yes, new species. When scientists say something like this, it's a strong claim backed by DNA, measurements, and careful comparison with museum specimens and previous studies. The new species name Akiyima pulls from local languages and ideas. The name connects to words for big or great snake in the region's languages. Naming a species using local languages is a nod to the people who live with these animals every day and shows the researchers' respect for indigenous culture. Names in biology are not just labels. They are stories and records of where a species was discovered and whose land it was found on. Field evidence, direct sightings and measurements, including the 6.3 female. Indigenous testimony, Waorani reports of even larger snakes and ecological knowledge. Genetic confirmation, lab work that shows a 5.5% genetic difference and a split 10 million years ago. Visual gag, picture a canoe pulling up next to a snake so big it takes 2 people to hug it. The snake is like a green, slow-moving, waterlogged garden hose with very bad intentions toward deer. School analogy, the anaconda is the quiet senior who only talks at prom, huge, respected, and not often seen by the freshmen. Pop culture wink, it's like finding a lost Pokemon in a remote level, rare, legendary, and instantly famous. The team combined film work and science. National Geographic filmed for a Will Smith series while scientists collected data. That situation created both opportunity and pressure. Film crews can bring attention and funding, but the scientists still had to follow rules. They chose to credit Waorani collaborators as co-authors to publish the findings in a peer-reviewed journal, MDPI's Diversity, and to talk about conservation risks publicly. These choices helped the discovery get wide attention and also pushed a conservation message. This species could be in trouble if its habitat is lost or polluted. Finding a new big animal sounds like good news, but the jungle is not safe. The area faces threats from oil exploration, mining, deforestation, and pollution. Scientists worry about petrochemical contamination, which can affect the snake's health and reproductive success. The Waorani have fought to protect their land from oil companies and illegal loggers, and they worry this discovery might attract more attention to the area for good and bad. So the reaction was twofold: celebrate the discovery and urgently call for protection of the habitat. A scientist slipping in the mud while measuring a snake. Don't worry, no one was hurt, but there was a lot of laughter and sticky clothes. A guide calmly pointing to a giant snake and saying, "There she is at dinner," like it was the most normal thing. The film crew whispering like kids on a ghost tour, "Is it going to move?" While the snake slowly blinked and lived its best anaconda life. It updates our understanding of biodiversity in the Amazon and shows how much we still don't know. It highlights the importance of working with indigenous communities in research. It raises urgent conservation alarms. A big, rare species with a small range is especially vulnerable. After the discovery, the paper was published and news spread fast. Scientists celebrated, the Waorani raised concerns about protecting their land, and conservation groups flagged the snake's area as important to save. The find also brought attention to how people and nature connect. Indigenous knowledge led scientists to a discovery that labs then confirmed. But the bigger story is the fragile future oil spills, logging and road building could quickly turn this new giant into a species on the edge. So the aftermath is both joyful and worried. We learned something amazing, and now we face a choice: protect the place or watch it change forever. So that's the story of the Waorani giant anaconda, a real-life river monster that taught us about science, respect, and danger. A new species, found with the help of local people, filmed for TV and validated by genetics, and it lives in a place that needs protection more than ever. Next time someone tells you a jungle tale, maybe listen, because sometimes the old stories are true, and the world still hides big surprises. And if you liked this deep dive, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and tell a friend the Amazon just added a giant we didn't know about, and that's worth sharing. If you found this wild story cool, do 2 things. Like this video and subscribe for more documentary-sized nature stories. Drop a comment: would you camp near a river that might have a 20-foot snake? And share this with someone who loves big animals. Thanks for watching Infinitia Verity. See you in the next deep dive.